Most people imagine that history announces itself. They picture kings standing on castle walls, armies marching across valleys, and heralds riding from town to town proclaiming great events. But if you had been alive in the year 536, you would have learned that history doesn't always arrive with noise. Sometimes it arrives quietly, disguised as an ordinary morning. You wake up expecting the same world you went to sleep in, expecting the same sunrise, the same sounds, the same routines that have governed every day of your life. And at first, everything seems familiar. The straw mattress beneath you still smells faintly of smoke and dried grass. The rough wool blanket your mother patched last winter still scratches against your skin. Somewhere nearby, your father's boots scrape softly against the dirt floor while your mother feeds another piece of wood into the small fire in the center of the house. Nothing feels unusual, and yet something is wrong, not terrifyingly wrong, not obviously wrong, just wrong enough that everyone notices it, but nobody knows what to say. The light filtering through the wooden shutters isn't golden. It isn't warm. It isn't even bright. It looks pale and strange, almost gray, as though dawn itself has become tired. You sit up and hear your mother muttering under her breath. Your father is standing in the doorway, staring outside, not working, not preparing tools, simply staring. That alone is enough to make your stomach tighten. Fathers don't stare. Fathers work. Fathers fix things. Fathers know things. But today, your father simply stands there in silence. Finally, he motions for you to come outside. The air immediately bites your skin. It is far colder than it should be. March should bring warmth. It should bring birds, insects, and the smell of damp earth waking from winter. Instead, the entire world feels suspended. The sky above the village is covered by a strange haze, and through that haze hangs the sun itself. Weak, pale, bluish. Not hidden, not eclipsed, simply wrong. It looks less like the sun and more like the moon pretending to be the sun. Around you, neighbors emerge from their houses. Faces turn upward. Nobody speaks loudly. Children cling to mothers. Dogs whine softly. Chickens wander out of their coops only to return moments later, confused by the dim light. Even the rooster seems uncertain whether morning has truly arrived. At first, people joke. Humans always joke when they don't understand something. Old Helena declares that God has grown angry again. The blacksmith laughs and says, "Perhaps the sky is simply tired." A merchant passing through claims he has seen strange weather before. Your father shrugs and insists everything will return to normal tomorrow. Everyone wants to believe that. Tomorrow has always fixed things. Storms pass. Winters end. Crops grow. Tomorrow has always been trustworthy. So everyone returns to work. The fields need tending. Animals need feeding. Life must continue. But as the day passes, the strange light never changes. Midday feels like evening. Shadows disappear entirely. By supper time, nobody can tell whether the sun has moved at all. And worse than the darkness is the silence. No birds sing, no insects buzz. Even the wind seems reluctant to disturb the strange stillness hanging over the world. It feels as though nature itself is holding its breath. 3 days later, nothing has improved. In fact, the cold seems worse. Frost appears each morning where there should be dew.
Travelers bring troubling stories. They say the same darkness stretches beyond your village, beyond your province, beyond the empire itself. Merchants arriving from Antioch speak of cold weather there. A soldier passing through says Constantinople burns lamps during midday. Some claim scholars believe a mountain exploded somewhere far to the north. Others insist demons are responsible. Priests speak of divine punishment. Nobody knows. And ignorance creates its own monsters. The less people understand, the more terrifying their explanations become. One man claims the stars themselves are dying. Another says angels have abandoned the world. Old Helena says she dreamt of wolves eating the sun. Everyone laughs at her, but quietly. Nobody laughs too loudly anymore. By April, hunger begins its slow work. Not starvation. Not yet. Hunger starts politely. Bread slices become thinner. Soup contains more water. Cheese disappears from meals. Your mother says she simply isn't hungry these days, but somehow she is never hungry when food is scarce. You notice. Your father notices too. He says nothing. Married people speak entire conversations through silence. Some evenings he catches her slipping half her bread into your bowl. Other nights she catches him pretending to be full. Love in hard times often looks like hunger. Neither complains. Neither mentions it. Sacrifice has become another chore, as ordinary as collecting water or feeding the goat. The rain begins after that. Endless cold rain. Not storms, not thunder. Just miserable drizzle that never seems to stop. Clothes remain damp. Firewood burns badly. Smoke hangs inside houses. Mud swallows roads. And everywhere, the smell of wet earth mixes with the smell of fear. People start locking doors. Not because thieves have appeared, but because trust has begun disappearing. Hunger changes people long before starvation arrives. Arguments break out over stupid things. A bucket, a chicken, a patch of land. Men who once shared wine now avoid each other. Women who used to gossip together count their supplies in secret. Everyone becomes suspicious. Everyone becomes cautious. The village itself feels smaller somehow, as though fear has shrunk the world. One evening, your father returns empty-handed from the forest. He normally brings rabbits or mushrooms. Tonight he carries nothing. He sits beside the fire and stares into the flames. Your mother asks no questions. She already knows. The forest is changing too. Animals are scarce. Streams hold fewer fish. Even birds have vanished. Later that night, after they believe you are asleep, you hear them speaking softly. Your father mentions Constantinople. Your mother goes silent, leaving home. The very idea sounds impossible. Your family has lived here longer than anyone remembers. The graves of grandparents lie beside the church. The apple tree behind the house was planted by your grandfather. Home isn't just wood and stone. Home is memory, and memory is difficult to abandon. But hunger cares little for memories. May arrives, but winter refuses to leave. Frost still covers fields. Crops remain stunted. Villagers slaughter animals they once planned to keep. A cow dies in Nicholas's barn. Then another. Dogs grow thin. Children grow quiet. Nobody runs or plays anymore. Energy has become too precious. Even church attendance changes. People pray harder now. Not because they have become more faithful, but because desperation and faith often look identical. Father Matthias leads processions through the village carrying crosses and relics. Some people kneel. Some cry. Some simply stare upward at the pale blue sun hanging weakly behind the endless haze. It has become a cruel companion. Always there, never changing. A reminder that something terrible has happened to the world itself. One morning, while walking beside your father toward the forest, both of you stop at exactly the same moment. It takes several seconds to understand why. Silence. Complete silence. No birds, no insects, no rustling leaves, nothing. The forest stands perfectly still. Even the wind has disappeared. Your father removes his cap and listens. His face changes. You've never seen fear there before. Not during storms, not during sickness, not even when the wolves killed 3 sheep last winter. But now something deeper lives behind his eyes. Not panic, not terror. Something worse. Uncertainty. Slowly, he whispers something almost too quietly to hear. I've lived 40 years and never heard silence like this. And standing there beneath that strange sky, surrounded by trees that no longer sing with life, you realize something terrible. People can survive war. People can survive cold. People can survive hunger, but people were never meant to survive uncertainty. Because hunger can be counted. Winter eventually ends. Wars have victories and defeats. But nobody in the year 536 knows what this is. Nobody knows if tomorrow will bring sunshine. Nobody knows if summer still exists. Nobody knows if the world itself is broken. And perhaps, lying awake that night beneath your rough blanket while rain taps softly against the roof and your exhausted parents whisper beside the dying fire, you understand something that adults are only beginning to fear. The darkness outside is not the worst part. The worst part is that no one knows when it will end.